E-Class fielded a wagon 22 years ago, the V8-powered, rear-drive Roadmaster Estate. Such models can usually be identified by the wood grain vinyl covering most of their 18-foot-long sides and by the octogenarian behind the wheel. When GM quit building them, the Landyacht class of station wagons went extinct, right around the same time Subaru was inventing a new, modern kind of wagon. A suspension lift and some cladding fitted to the midsize, all-wheel drive legacy produced the Outback, which has since evolved to become the long-roof sales champion. No wonder, then, that Buick's comeback bid adheres to a somewhat similar plan. High's nice lines, huge cargo hold, low starting price. Low's recalcitrant transmission, commodity car interior, neither sporty nor rugged. Verdict: even an average wagon is better than another crossover. Like other Buicks of late, the Regal TourX is a rebadged Opel, specifically an Insignia Country Tourer, a midsizer that's been encircled by many square centimeters of black plastic and given an ever so slightly taller ride height. And like other Opels brought here, it attempts to straddle the crevasse between commodity car and luxury car. GM's 2017 sale of Opel to the PSA Group included a provision for supplying Regals from its Rüsselsheim, Germany, factory, where U.S.-bound TourX are fitted with a unique powertrain, GM's corporate turbo 2.0-litre 4 paired with an AI-sourced 8-speed automatic. Otherwise, the biggest point of difference for the American model is the oversized Trichy-eld emblem in its grille. For $30,000, the TourX interior is of decent quality. But some of its cost-cutting is harder to justify on a $40,000 example like our Sundstrom test car. As a lesson in globalization, the TourX couldn't be more perfect. It does have the red, white, and blue badge and an American-built engine, one that can trace its genesis back more than 2 decades to a collaboration between Britain's Lotus, Germany's Opel, Sweden's Saab, and, of course, the sometime owner of all the above, GM itself. But the TourX uses a Japanese transmission and is assembled in Germany by a subsidiary of a French company. Is this an automobile we're describing or the opening ceremony of the Olympics? Looking at the TourX is nearly such a spectacle. GM's designers deserve kudos for penning this anti-crossover. Even the overabundance of cladding can't make this Euro-style wagon seem like anything but a car, and a handsome one at that. A single strip of brightwork extends from the A-pillar across the top of the windows and down along the edge of the pillar into the taillights, accentuating the long and low look. A deeply drawn character line through the lower doors breaks up the body side and lends a welcome dash of sportiness. Not everything is as it seems, however, as the dual exhaust outlets integrated into the rear bumper affix, the actual tailpipes are hidden underneath the car. The TourX's spec sheet is almost as attractive as its sheet metal. Standard are 250 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque, struts up front and a 5-link rear suspension, and an all-wheel drive system that can vary left-right torque distribution across the rear axle. And the TourX swallows 74 cubic feet of gear with its rear seats folded flat, which is more than Mercedes' E-Class wagon can fit. All this comes at a starting price of just $29,995. Our test car, a top-of-the-line TourX in essence trim, was not nearly so inexpensive, though. Its base price is $35,995, and it is the only way to get leather seats, adaptive cruise control, or advanced safety features such as automatic emergency braking. Even adding Apple CarPlay and Android Auto capability means spending at least $33,595 for the mid-grade, cloth-upholstered preferred trim, plus an extra $1,870 to upgrade the touchscreen from 7 inches to 8. A fully loaded TourX will top $42,000. This still undercuts the starting price of clad and lifted would-be wagon competitors, such as Audi's A4 Allroad and Volvo's V60 Cross Country. But those aren't really the Buick's bogies, and GM knows it. That's why pricing on the TourX lines up neatly with 6-cylinder Outback models. Both the Audi and the Volvo shame the Buick's interior, where GM uses materials more on par with Subaru's. Buick can hold its own on the pointy end of mainstream, but it's still not ready to play in the premium part of the spectrum. That said, there are some thoughtful features inside the TourX, such as switches in the cargo area to automatically fold down the rear seats and tie-downs that slide on a track built into the load floor. Controls for the infotainment and climate systems offer good ergonomics, and the center console is well designed. Save for the middle rear, the seats are comfortable, and Buick's reputation for producing quiet cars survives intact. Close inspection reveals evidence of cost cutting, from hard plastics on the dashboard to cheap-looking carpet in the load area. Leather that could pass for vinyl covers the seats in between. The analog gauges and infotainment graphics are far from state-of-the-art. It all serves to reinforce the Subaru as a more realistic competitor to the Buick than an Audi or a Volvo. Taking on a segment leader, especially one with as loyal a following as the Subaru enjoys, is like dropping in on a triple black diamond run right after your first snowboarding lesson. Evidence that Buick might need to head back to the lodge's rental counter for an equipment refitting comes in a comparison of ground clearance. The Subaru boasts 8.7 inches, 3 more than the Buick. Much of the TourX's lift is accomplished by fitting taller tires, size 2, 3, 5, 50 R18 Continentals rather than a 245/45 R18s that some other Regals sport. Even its marginally longer springs don't improve the TourX's ground clearance over a bone-stock Toyota Camry. Both cars sit 5.7 inches off the ground. A brief trip down a U.S. Forest Service tow track had the TourX bouncing into its bump stops, its suspension making groaning noises sufficient to keep us from attempting more serious backcountry forays. The TourX is plenty practical, with more maximum cargo room than its competitors. And only the Subaru Outback beats it for seats-up cargo space. This might matter less if the TourX had a decidedly sportier mien. Our test car weighed just 3,747 pounds, but its lightness was betrayed by what we can only deduce is a lack of body stiffness, manifested in vibrations felt through the steering wheel and the seat. That would also explain its chassis tuning, with springs and dampers as soft as fresh powder. Driving the TourX hard on mountain roads proved to be an exercise in delayed gratification. Turning is slow, as the suspension needs to compress before the steering builds weight from its wagon center position. You can just start to feel the Buick's trick twin-clutch rear axle work its torquey vectoring magic before those all-season tires begin howling, warning you to back off lest you reach the lower limit of grip, a mere 0.80 grams. That beats the Outback, which pulls 0.78 grams despite being 7.7 inches taller and packing an extra 117 pounds of weight. The Buick's braking performance is better, stopping from 70 miles per hour in 175 feet, 7 shorter than the Subaru. And the TourX has a clearer advantage under its hood, where GM's inland four inhales 18.9 pounds per square inch of turbo boost. That leaves it only 6 horses shy of Subaru's 3.6-litre flat-six. A 48 pound-foot surfeit of torque allows the TourX to charge to 60 miles per hour in 6.4 seconds, a half-second faster than the Outback, hobbled as it is by its CVT. But the TourX has its own gearbox woes. The 8-speed automatic upshifts as early as it can, often lugging the engine below 2,000 revolutions per minute in 7th or 8th gear, as if following the commands of some phantom eco mode. But the TourX has no such setting, nor any sport mode, although it surely could use one. At most cruising speeds, the TourX feels as if it has half its horsepower, with anything less than mashing the accelerator producing only a lethargic climb in revs. When the transmission does eventually downshift, it really snaps cleanly into the appropriate second or third gear without first landing at some intermediate step along the way. The solution is to shift it yourself, which means prodding the gear shift lever fore and aft, as the TourX lacks paddle shifters. Even then, shifts are sedately delivered, leaving the driver plenty of time to ponder why this transmission is in this car. The answer: Buick reps have said that the AN 8-speed is just a stopgap measure until it can start using GM's 9-speed unit, perhaps as early as next year. Hope springs eternal. This could well prove to be a missed opportunity for Buick, which only gets to launch the TourX, with all the accompanying budget and attention, once. Because for all the market success of the Outback, it is not that impressive as a mechanical package. While we welcome any new wagon, this one should have been more of a contender, especially given its good looks and roomy practicality. It seemed perfectly positioned to seduce some Outback intenders looking for more fun and polish, as well as some all-road cross-country shoppers looking to spend less. As it stands, the TourX deserves only a finisher's medal.